Ladies and gentlemen, we are only 1 week removed from Chief Kiefer, the Grim Kiefer, the Grim Reaper, all of the above, coach. We are 1 week removed from him displaying gameplay that was reminiscent of a Big Brother US alumni legend known as Dan Giesling. By him showing that he was capable of doing his own funeral, but the Canadian style only to fast forward to this week and to see Jed also paying homage to an alumni from Big Brother US, but this time not in a positive way, ladies and gentlemen. It appears he's copying Marcellus from BB3, and he's going to fall on his sword for Beth? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame. Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. With me, of course, is your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trail, The Rant God, Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, The Pro Black Prodigy, The Shadow Realm Shaman, all of the above on that ISAT test and ACT. You know what it is. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the 23rd Big Brother Canada 9 Rant entitled Sudden Beth. And the reason why it's called this, ladies and gentlemen, because the trio that has been in control of this game virtually the entire season, they are finally having to eat some humble pie. They are finally being forced to face adversity. Now, before I get into real deep on the gameplay that has transpired today on feeds, I think it's important for us to rewind a bit and for me to set the table to how this week has gone the way it has so far, because you all haven't been exposed to Monday night's episode yet. So, we all know that Tera is the HOH. We all know that Beth choked last week immensely by not keeping Tina over Kiefer. We also know them keeping Kiefer was the one reason why, along with the fact that we have a fake double eviction looming, it was one of the main reasons why I didn't mind Tera winning this HOH. And it's another reason why I stressed to you all in my last rant that Ty was in a good position because he would have certain people fighting for him that wouldn't necessarily be fighting for Jed or Beth. Well, that's exactly how the early stages of this week played out. Well, Tara was pushing mainly for a Ty and Jed combination to go up on the block. It was Kiefer, it was Breydon doing the majority of the heavy lifting, the hard work to convince Tara that no, even though Beth is better for your game, it's best for everyone's game involved to put her up next to Jed because you do not want to give a showman's the opportunity to have one off the block, take their other showman's partner off, and then they have an opportunity to also save Ty. Or in this case, just make sure the entire trio were to survive the entire week. This is, of course, the scenario that Tara is trying to avoid at all costs. Keep in mind, she just lost her closest ally in Tina. She wants to show the jury something. She wants to show that she can clap back just like Kiefer did towards Kyle. So, in Tara's mind, from a storytelling standpoint, in order to continue her narrative of the baby face, of the underdog, of the person going up against the big bad mighty trio, she has to take this shot. Because technically speaking here, she will get the credit for being the first one all season to take this shot. She's the first one to put Jed, Beth, and Ty all on slop. She's the first one to put all three of them this week on the block. And I can say that for sure because Jed has won the veto, and we know he's using it, and we know Ty is going to be thrown up. So I can pretty much confirm so far that we will have every member of the trio touching the block. We will not have a similar scenario to Sir Anthony Douglas, in which he never touched a block during Big Brother Canada 7. And that was a talking point we all expected to be able to help him win the game, right? So that's not going to be something Ty is going to be able to rely on. What he's going to need to rely on is his social game, which has been very good. And to him and Jed's credit, their social game has been so good that they have dodged a lot of bullets, including the invisible HOH up until now. And I think all of these things have created the perfect storm as to why Tara cannot afford to give these people any leeway. Now, for Kiefer's game, It makes sense why he's keeping Ty off the block. For his game, he wants to actually blindside Jed. If they can get Jed and Beth on that block by Thursday, they all plan to take Jed out. Right? Him and Breydon. And that's why they protected Ty, because they wanted Jed taken out by any means necessary. And they were hoping by keeping Ty off the block, that could create some type of trust with Ty. That way, in future weeks, he'd be able to safeguard their games and hopefully clean things up by finishing off of Beth. Now, the thing is, Beth, being as entitled as she was under the assumption that Breydon and Ty have contributed the least amount out of the players left. Therefore, they should volunteer to go up on the block this week. Now, understand, this rubbed Ty the wrong way. From that moment forward, Ty decided, all right, I'm going to fight fire when fire. I'm going to start throwing Beth back under that damn bus. And this is why I got very excited for this week, ladies and gentlemen, because here I am believing that we actually have a scenario where Beth will become the first boot. So no matter what happens in the fake double, I'm okay with it because I believe Beth can't get out of that fake double. So in reality, it's the best possible timeline, the best possible scenario. And I must give credit to Breydon this week. Breydon is playing fantastic. The way he's been able to pivot, work with Tera. Tera clearly wants to protect Breydon in a similar fashion that Beth prioritized keeping Breydon safe over a lot of other players in the past. So now Breydon is almost being viewed as super dangerous for guys like Jed and Ty. Well, not necessarily Ty, because Ty actually wants Breydon in his final two. I believe that if Ty has any aspiration of winning the game, I think he wants to sit next to a Breydon. And I think conversely, Breydon believes out of all the people left in the game, the one person he can sit next to that hasn't won as much as all the rest of them, that he can argue he had a better social game then is probably a Ty. So this is why Breydon has even shown preferential treatment towards Ty compared to a Beth. Beth approached Breydon in the shower and she asked him who is he going to vote for if it's her next to Ty on the block. Breydon straight up told her, I'm keeping Ty over you on a heartbeat. So understand, Beth is desperate this week. Beth is salty. I mean, this woman approached Jed and told her she has this blonde haired white girlfriend that's her best friend that she used to go on trips with. And she's implying just because this blonde haired white girl fetishizes black men, that she's somehow Jed's soulmate. And see, what pisses me off about all of this is this girl clearly is only saying this now because she thinks her game is over. So now all of a sudden she wants to friend zone you because now she doesn't believe she can use you to get herself further anymore. So now she's finally starting to show you her true self. I was expecting Jed to absorb that information, realize, okay, she doesn't really care that much about me because she's already trying to put me on with someone else, obviously. I'm thinking Jed would connect the dots, especially after he won veto. I'm thinking Jed would be the one to cut this chick and send her to the shadow realm. But Jed is out here trying to be Captain Save a Bunny. I don't understand it, Jed. You're the same guy who refused to use the power of veto on Latoya during week 3 because you didn't want to risk Ty going up. But now Feeds, and see, here's my problem. Before Feeds went down, he's talking to Kiefer. He's saying, oh, I'm not going to use the veto on Beth. I'm not going to risk that. And we're going to get into the whole strategy behind this move, but it's really triggering me. The fact that this brother would not use the veto on Toya because he didn't want to risk Ty going up. But now he's willing to use it on Beth, and he's willing to risk Ty going up. Well, if I look stupid, I'll look stupid. And the fact that Feeds went down and then when they come back up, all of a sudden his mind is made up and he's willing to go ahead and do a dumb move now. It's like, bro, how do you go from Feeds being on, you're not down with this move, to Feeds going away, coming back, and now you sound like Marcellus? Where do they do that at, Jed? Like, come on, man. And see, I'm going to get into why I don't like this a little bit later, but let's break down the strategy of it. The person that I believe deserves the most credit for this move is Kiefer. Kiefer was the one, and this is when feeds were down right after the veto comp was over. A lot of us didn't see any feeds all Saturday night, so most of us had to rely on feeds from Sunday morning to tell us what we needed to know. So understand, ladies and gentlemen, Kiefer approached Breydon with an idea of basically saying, all right, if Jed wants us to promise him that we'll throw a Breydon if he saves Beth, this can be the move we use to get Jed out. Because then Jed, who's on the block next to Beth, he does the move of taking Beth off, leaving Jed still there. They throw up Ty over Breydon, and then they choose to keep Ty over Jed. And they know if Breydon goes up next to Jed, then that just creates a scenario where Beth and Ty can just work back together to go ahead and cut Breydon. No one wants that because everyone can see Breydon as a tool that they can use. And see, I told you all in my last rant, this was the week for Breydon to prove himself. And I have been thoroughly impressed by his gameplay. But once again, he still will need something on his resume outside of this week, but this is a great start. This shows me he is realizing his pivoting prowess. The way he stuck his neck out for Ty, when you can argue he didn't really have to, was also good gameplay. The way him and Kiefer are starting to grow closer is also interesting to me. But Kiefer, you need to be careful here, my guy, because I think you believe if you're in a scenario where you're in a Final Four with Beth, Tera, and Breydon, I think Keith believes he can win out. I think Keith believes he won't get turned on in that situation. And I think Keith is willing to risk that. Keith, I think you could be really miscalculating this. Because, see, in Keith's mind, he thinks if they can figure out a way to get this plan through by blindsiding Jed, he believes they can make Ty go out right after Jed. Now, he doesn't know this fake double is looming, right? And this was the worst possible timeline. This is what I feared a lot. This is why I wanted Beth gone this week specifically, because I wanted to guarantee it was impossible for Jed and Ty to have to face each other in a fake double back. That guarantees both of them can never play the game together again, and they got to off each other to earn the right to get back in. And whose game does that help? Everyone else's, right? But it immensely helps Beth's. And that's what I'm really ticked off about. But I mean, it's so many things to discuss here. I mean, Tera, kudos to you. She stayed strong this entire week, this entire weekend. I mean, um, when most people would have believed that this plan would have never worked, she stayed to it. She stayed to it, and they kept driving it home. And you got Beth out here, you know, the same girl who just told you she has a friend back home who's your soulmate, Jed. You know, now all of a sudden you want to use the veto on her, and then you say, "Oh, I bet your family back home will love me if I do this." And then you got Beth saying, "I never thought about that." Here's a tip, Jed. If she never thought about how much her family would love you for saving her when her game is really in the shitter, uh, pro tip, coach. She probably doesn't plan on having you meet her family in the first place. So isn't that a red flag again as to why you shouldn't be using the veto on her? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, coach. It really doesn't make any sense to me. And this is really what's triggering me into this rant because I could see Jed making this decision. And see, this decision for Jed, there's a rumor going around on social media. A lot of people think production's involved in this based on how feed's cut, and then all of a sudden he changed his mind. But outside of that, let's say production is behind this, and y'all know this is my wheelhouse. Doesn't this benefit Tera a lot? Doesn't this give her resume a lot of shit? Oh, her HOH was the HOH Jed went home. Doesn't this kind of give Tera the case to win the entire game? And see, this is what Kiefer was bringing up. He was like, well, Tera, if you get your way this week, you do know all of a sudden you have the best resume in the house, right? So Kiefer believes he can position all these other people to be bigger threats than him as long as he's just an accessory to their crimes when they have power. Now, my biggest thing is I'm looking at this from a 360 degree view perspective. Ty is in on this plan. I need to mention that because I haven't said that yet. Ty is aware of the plan that Kiefer came up with Tera and Breydon. So now Ty is basically working with the other three to try to snow Jed into believing that Breydon could be thrown up if he uses the veto on Beth. Now, for Ty's game, I'm kind of half and half. Part of me feels like Ty, you shouldn't be gaslighting Jed to do this move because this move could hurt your game during the fake double. Conversely, Ty might feel like he doesn't have a choice because these people fought hard to keep him off the block. He's got to follow through with the hard action they've put through to keep him safe, whereas someone like Beth, who's tried to sick him to the wolves. So Ty probably feels like he has more in common with Tera and Breydon than he does with Beth. So in his mind, why do I want to tell Jed anything? But here's my thing, Ty. By you not speaking up and telling Jed what the real plan is within the plan, the game within the game, you're almost allowing Jed to keep Beth around longer who you know is targeting you. That's not even addition by subtraction. That's subtraction by addition or something. It's opposite. From my perspective, look, I get it, Ty. From your perspective, you're looking at it like this. It's really risky if I'm on the block next to Beth. But if I'm on the block next to Jed, I stay 100%. So for Ty's game, he's weighing out pros and cons, win probability, percentage rates, and he's going, look, if I allow Jed to believe he's doing the right thing here, maybe I get a little bit of credit for the move itself. But here's the other side of it, though. Let me be devil's advocate, Ty. Beth claims to Jed if this goes to hell in a handbasket, if Breydon is not thrown up and it ends up being Ty, they're all going to go off on Tera. Here's the thing, though. If Beth is in on this plan with Tera, but she doesn't know about Kiefer working with Ty and Breydon, if all these people are in on the same plan, but they don't know that they're all accessories and accomplices working with each other, then as soon as it's time to blow up stuff in Tera's face, Tera can just expose the fact that all of these people turned on Jed to get this move against him to work, which will tell Jed Tera told him the truth when she told him everyone within his trio has thrown him under the bus, and he's the only one playing with any integrity. Understand, Tera gaslit Jed to feel like he should use the veto on Beth because he's the one with integrity amongst the three. So now Jed believes I'm this knight in shining armor. Everyone looks at me as the front runner to win. I'm going to prove why I should be the front runner by doing this dumb move, but by showing how much balls I have, hopefully it will be an iconic moment for myself. Listen, man. Jed, where was this iconic moment for yourself when it was time to keep Latoya safe? Don't you know that would have made you look more iconic? This doesn't make you look iconic at all. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of black women turn on Jed based off of this, and they're like, hey, whatever happens to him because he's dumb. Whatever happens to him happened to him because he puts white sugar walls on a pedestal. This is what I am seeing from sisters. This is a bad look for you, Jed. This is a terrible look for you, especially when you worked as hard as you did to win that veto. Especially when live feeders know for a fact that Beth was trying to get you taken out this week so she could get credit for it during Tera's HOH. So imagine that, my brother. You right now are actually considering using a veto on a woman who could care less about you, who wanted you taken out so she could get the credit for her resume and so she could get your jury vote. This woman thinks so little of you, she thinks she can do you absolutely grimy and you still will show her unwavering loyalty. And you're proving her right by even considering this. And that's what makes all of this look worse. This woman tried to friend zone you when she thought she was going home. This woman showed you her true colors when her back was against the wall. She threw you under the bus. She threw Ty under the bus. She threw Breydon under the bus. She tried to work against Kiefer last week and throw him under the bus, and it blew up in her face. All these things are a perfect concoction. And let's be real here, Kiefer probably is more open to keeping Jed over Beth this week if Jed doesn't allow Beth to talk him into throwing Kiefer up in a back door last week. So Beth is to blame for why Kiefer is so hard body after Jed now, and why Kiefer came up with the plan to blindside Jed with these tactics. So no matter how you shake it, Beth is the arbiter of your doom, brother. The quicker you get rid of her, the more you can truly get to dominating this game. But it's a true shame that he's willing to risk becoming Marcellus. You're willing to have this moment with Arissa Cox, coach, huh? You willing to risk having this moment, Jed? For what? For Beth? And what makes this even worse, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that on feeds it's been heavily implied that Tychon finished second in the power of veto competition. You know what that mean, coach? That mean we were this close to Ty being able to take Jed off himself, removing this entire tactic and strategy from Kiefer's playbook, and this probably would have guaranteed Breydon hit the block. Or it would have guaranteed Kiefer hit the block, but in my opinion, Tera would have prioritized keeping Kiefer off based off what she has said in her HOH room. She looks at Kiefer as her direct shield moving forward. She believes if Kiefer wins next week's veto, she goes home. She believes if he doesn't, he goes home. So in her mind, in my opinion, if Ty wins veto, takes Jed off, it's Breydon next to Beth like they would have wanted initially. But now Tera knows for a fact that Beth goes home over Breydon because of all of the overplaying we have seen already from Kiefer, Breydon, and Ty. And this is why she won't throw up Breydon now, and the only person she will throw up now is Ty if Jed uses the veto on himself. And let's be real, if he would have used it on Beth, she would also throw up Ty. So no matter what, ladies and gentlemen, Ty is going up. But I think no matter what, he also stays. Now, there's a chance here that Tera believes that if Beth, okay, there's an alternate timeline. This is the preferred timeline for black fans. Jed takes himself off. Ty is now next to Beth. Now they both campaign versus each other to stay. Tera believes that there is a chance that Kiefer could consider cutting Ty over Beth. I don't believe that for 1 second. And that's because Beth was clearly the main person behind trying to blindside Kiefer a week ago. Kiefer's not going to forget that. Kiefer knows the longer Beth is around, the harder it is for his game. Now, in Kiefer's mind, he was willing to cut Jed and keep Beth around just to get rid of a massive threat that in his mind could keep him from winning out. That was the only risk he was willing to take. But he would never, in my opinion, cut Ty before Beth. So that's why I believe Jed is a complete idiot and ignoramus for not taking himself off here. And I'm watching Ty. He's got to keep his mouth shut. He can't really afford to tell Jed what's up. In his mind, if Jed does this dumb move, Ty stays in the game, and Ty doesn't have to worry about going after Jed himself. So Ty looks at this as a win-win probably. He gets Jed's jury vote because everyone else does Jed dirty because he's on the block next to Jed. But once again, what if you don't get his jury vote? Because Tera, to save her jury management, what if she airs out all of the detail behind all the people who was behind convincing Jed to do this? Now Jed may look at Ty as someone who betrayed him like Brutus did Caesar. You feel what I'm saying? You never know. And even if Jed was plotting against Ty as well with Beth, I still believe if you just get rid of Beth, Ty and Jed go hard body the final two together. And it's a shame that we now have a possibility of never getting that scenario just because Jed may or may not have been convinced by production to give us good TV by falling on his sword like it's the Hunger Games. He's offering himself a tribute or something. Like, bro, what are you doing, coach? What are you doing? This is not what we wanted to see out of you, man. But that's really the toughest part about this week, ladies and gentlemen. It's the uncertainty of it all. Jed has been back and forth, and that's the roller coaster ride of being a Sunsetters fan in general, right, ladies and gentlemen? Right? It'll feel like we got our hands on the pulse of the game. It'll feel like we know what's coming next. It'll feel like everything is pretty pretty easy to understand and comprehend. And then all of a sudden, you get a week like this where Tera becomes the unlikely HOH winner. Jed wins the veto. Everyone expects a standard week, but because Jed has been talking all season about wanting to be the guy to use the veto on someone and stay on the block, he thinks this makes him so cool. And this is when Jed is really starting to give out the Faisal vibes. But let's be honest, Faisal would have never even been this dumb. And he loved Haley. He loved her dirty draws back during BB20. I don't think he would have even did all this. You feel me? So that just tells me a lot, ladies and gentlemen. That tells me this brother is whipped something serious, but the optics behind production, being able, and let's just say production isn't involved. Let's just say this is just on the courage of your own conviction. Let's say this is just your own free will. The fact that you are willing to do this for her, but you weren't willing to do it for Toya, that's going to be something you're never going to be able to escape, brother. You're never going to be able to escape it, you know? And when you add the context of, does Jed need the money from winning this show or not? Does he really care about winning this season or not? Does he look at this like a vacation? Like, does he look at this as seriously as someone as Kiefer does? This isn't a lifelong dream for him. So to him, is he easier to be swayed to do this dumb stuff by production? Yes. So in a way, he's fulfilling his destiny, you know? This is why they cast certain people of this ilk, because they believe they're easier to convince to do things that are counterproductive to their own games. In Jed's case, He is absolutely considering doing a move that will send him straight out the door. And for whatever reason, he's willing to trust Tera now, but he's already told us that he didn't buy anything Tera was saying from before the veto comp. Tera was approaching this guy trying to convince him, hey, Jed, I'm only throwing you up because I want to avoid as much blood as possible. If you're just going to win the veto anyway, I prefer you taking yourself off as opposed to you not being on the block, taking someone else off. Then it makes my HOH a lot more messy. Now I'm pissing off 4 people instead of just 3, blah, 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 blah. Now, whole time, if you connect the dots, that alibi doesn't really add up because if she really, at the end of the day, if you don't want as much blood on your hands, you're not going to root for someone that you threw on the block to win veto so you have more blood on your hands. That doesn't even make any sense. That's a contradiction. So the fact that she said that much clearly was her double talking and it was her over talking. And I think that's what the tale was that told Jed that he couldn't really trust Tera. But my thing is, how can you quickly discern that Tera's lying to you in that fashion? But then you believe she'll backdoor Breydon. In what world, if Tera is unwilling to throw a Breydon over Ty, what makes you think by pushing how close Breydon is to Beth, that'll increase the likelihood Breydon gets thrown up? She doesn't even want Beth to go. Understand, Tera wants Breydon and Beth in the game. So what these people are pushing for is just so confusing because it's as if they don't realize what Tera's win con is. Y'all really think her win con is taking you two and Kiefer to Final Four? Like, read the room. This is what frustrates me with Jed's game. This move is so incendiary, it's so out of left field, it's so unquestionably stupid that I am worried that we will get the worst possible timeline of Jed versus Ty in the fake double. I think at this point, if Jed goes through with this, ladies and gentlemen, you can book this. It's going to be Jed versus Kiefer or Jed versus Ty. I don't believe anyone wastes a double eviction on Tera. I just don't see it coming. I don't see it happening. Especially after Tera causes all this chaos between one trio. Especially after Kiefer gains all this trust with Tera by her carrying out all those moves that came out of his brain. Especially when Breydon got protected all week despite how much the trio tried to throw the weight around with Tera. Okay? I don't see Tera being taken out next week. I just don't see it. Breydon ain't doing it. Kiefer ain't doing it. Beth ain't doing it. So that means it would have to be Ty winning HOH for that to happen. And if you're Ty, wouldn't you rather take out Kiefer before taking out Tera? Wouldn't you rather take out Beth before taking out Tera? Right? So if Jed goes through with this, he is literally, in my opinion, he's taking back all of the fantastic work keeping Kiefer did for the trio's game. Well, not for the trio. What I mean by the trio is Kiefer, Ty, and Jed. He's taken back all that great work that it did. And while I'm aware that Kiefer has clearly got Jed in his crosshairs, I think Kiefer's tripping a little bit here too, because at the end of the day, once you whack Jed, the double, they're going to all turn on you, Keith. Because all of them look at Ty as someone who can't win. Beth looks at Ty as someone who can't win. I don't think Beth takes out Ty before Keith if Jed's already gone. I don't think she does it. Because in her mind, Tera and Breydon take her to Final 3. And they believe Kiefer memorizes his days better than anyone else. Beth is under the assumption Ty is super slow at his days. So no one is really threatened by Ty's comp prowess down the stretch because they know it's mainly mental. Now, Tera has stressed that she thinks that there could be a comp that could benefit someone long like Ty or a Jed later, but I don't think that comp is going to exist, so I'm not even going to go through the nuance of breaking down the detail of the comp that she was specifically talking about. But just understand, ladies and gentlemen, Ty started off this week in a fantastic position. And I know, Ty, I know you may feel like being next to Jed on the block, I know you feel like you stay no matter what. But if you stay next to Beth, you should be pulling Jed to the side and go, motherfucker, don't be stupid. Use that veto on yourself. What's wrong with you? You feel what I'm saying? Like, if I'm Ty, nah, man, skip all that. Don't be stupid, Jed. You know? Because at the end of the day, Jed is still a shield for Ty. I get it. Ty feels like he can't beat Jed at the end. Jed feels like Ty feels like he can't beat Jed at the end. Jed is also stretched to Beth as soon as he won the veto, right before going to bed when feeds were down. He also allegedly said to Beth he doesn't even want to take Ty to the end because he might be worried about losing to him. So all of these different things are mixed together. And he claims to Beth that if he was on the block next to Ty, he would have did the same thing for Ty. We don't believe you. You need more people. We personally, black fans everywhere believe Ty's a little bit too dark shaded for you to do that for him. I got to keep it real with you, Jed. Based off what you didn't do for Toya, I'm sorry, we don't believe you right now. We don't believe you. That doesn't mean your black card is revoked necessarily. It just means it just shows us that there are some things about you, brother, that you got to work on. Because last week you were so fixated with playing Beth's game by backdooring Kiefer. This week you seem to be woke up. You seem to be telling people you were aware of the fact that Beth goes home no matter what. You were even open to the fact that she goes home if she's next to Breydon. Now you're going to use the veto on her to keep her in the game when you're the bigger threat, when you have the better case to win. And for what? A woman you're not going to talk to when the game is over? This is the most nonsensical, irrational move I've ever seen. And there is no way to excuse this. There's no way to justify it from Jed's point of view. This is as dumb as what Luan did. Remember Luan? Oh, I volunteered to go on the block because I feel like I could get a twist from this. Wasn't that what Luan said during BB13? Didn't he say some dumb stuff like that, Coach? Jed, it feels like you believe you're going to be handed something down the line if you do this dumb shit. Don't do it, brother. It's not worth it. You know? And that's really the saddest part about this, ladies and gentlemen. The veto ceremony is not until tomorrow. But based off what I've seen on feeds, this game can go down two different paths. All right? We got the first path, ladies and gentlemen, which I've clearly laid out. It's Jed simping for Beth. It's him playing her game, giving her and Tera all the pivoting prowess heading into Final Five. Because now those two white women can now just work with Breydon to turn on Ty and Kiefer. Okay, so it's stupid. When in reality, y'all should be cutting Beth. It should be Jed, Ty, and Keith versus Tera and Breydon. That's what it really should be if these three men were really thinking with their heads. But right now, I believe Ty and Keith are so fixated on the fact that they can't beat Jed that they're making the same mistake that I think Jed was going to make a week ago with Keith. Premature tactics, premature moves. You know? And I just do not see a scenario where Beth or Tera follow Jed out of this house. Meaning Jed will have to eat one of his own to come back. Meaning the final five we get is going to be lackluster compared to how the final six looked. This is guaranteed. So you have the timeline of Jed taking Beth off, him getting sent home, him having to compete in the fake double versus one of his allies, most likely, in Ty or Kiefer. That's probably going to be the one scenario. And then you have the other scenario where Jed wakes up in the last second, uses the veto on himself. Beth is forced to campaign for herself like a big girl because she claims she didn't do all this work by herself. Oh, well, she claims she did so much work without the men, and she claims it's sexism or misogynistic to not give her the credit she deserves. Okay, then, how about she hold her own ovaries, campaign versus Ty on that block like real players have to do, and let the best man or woman win? Jed, stop giving her get out of jail free cards. You earned your way out of prison, brother. Go enjoy your life free and go enjoy your freedom. Now it's time for these two to duke it out. You know, don't step in. Let what's gonna happen happen. Que sera, sera. Whatever will happen, will happen. All right? What can happen will happen, coach. That's how I feel about this. You know, I feel like Jed is disturbing the natural flow of gameplay by doing something so stupid. And see, this goes back to what I've always told y'all. This will give credence to all the people who gave up on the season hating it. This will allow them to come out of the woodworks, come out of the little sewer system they've been hiding in with their funky ass smelling like Beth's hair. This gonna lead to them coming out of the woodwork talking about, see, I told you these black men were dumb players. We was just waiting for them to do a dumb move so we could come out. That's what you're gonna hear a lot of. And see, these gonna be the same fans that probably wanted you to take out Kiefer. They're gonna be the same ones calling you dumb now for trying to save Beth. And this is why I keep trying to tell people, man, you can't be trying to make moves trying to please people. Don't make moves trying to make good TV. Make moves to help yourself, man. It's an individual game, you know? And it's just a damn shame that Beth is like, she's in this defeated mentality. She looks like she wants to quit. She's mad at Tera. All weekend she's telling people she's gonna go off on Tera. She can't wait to go off. She's just waiting for the veto ceremony. The veto to happen before she goes off on Tera. She never once goes off on Tera. Never once. Because that's not Beth's style. And I guarantee you, when Jed, or if and when Jed gets blindsided for using this veto on Beth and not himself, Beth is not going to start no fight with no damn Tera because she's not going to want to be implemented in the plan itself. She's going to keep all nice and quiet in the cut. Either that or she's going to try to put on an Oscar-worthy performance. But here's the thing, Beth. Are you going to want to risk losing Jed's jury vote with him being aware of the fact that you were in on what led to him using the veto on you and getting him sent home? You know, the same move that Beth wanted to take credit for before she realized her game was done and she had to rely on this stupid move from Jed in the first place. So that's my thought process on this 100%, ladies and gentlemen. No matter how you shake it, coach, someone's jury management is going to be impacted negatively if they go through with allowing Jed to do this dumbass shit and acting like they didn't know what was going to happen after the fact. And when this fake double gets revealed by Arissa, she probably won't even reveal it's a fake double, of course. She'll probably say it's a double all night. And see, here's the thing. If Jed gets blindsided and they all know it's a double, that might impact everything. You know? If I am Kiefer, why am I willing? But see, they don't know a double's coming. That's the thing. They knew the first double was coming. They're not too sure this one's coming. They're not really for a couple of days they weren't really allowed outside like that, right? So they all thought that the competition for the veto was going to be something extravagant and stuff like that. But as long as they have the backyard heading into Thursday, I don't think these people are going to expect it to be a double evictions worth of competition, right? And I think production can trick them in that fashion. But the way Jed just changed his mind, ladies and gentlemen, the way he went from saying, "Oh, I'd be looking like one of the dumbest players ever if I went through with that. Nah, I'm all right. Why would I ever trust Tera?" To feeds going down, feeds coming back up, and then all of a sudden, I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make history. I'm going to be the first to do it. Yeah, your family's going to love me when I do this. And just seeing Ty's face, he's just like, man, this is going to be a legendary move if you do this, man. Seeing all these people really that can't believe he's considering this, but he's actually considering it. And I got to give credit to the house. As a house, the four players, actually, all five players are in on this. All five players are in on this. His girlfriend's in on this. His mans is in on this. Kiefer's in on this. Breydon's in on this. Tera's in. Everybody's in on this. They look at you as an unstoppable force, man. They are willing to do whatever it takes to get you cut from this game, man. You know? And what I really am worried about is if Jed doesn't come back during the fake double, because someone else strong gets taken out right after him and it happens to be a puzzle or something Jed isn't good at, Tera in the edit, Tera is going to get all the credit for this move. It's not going to go to Kiefer. We all know what's going to happen. They're going to give all the credit for this move to Tera because they're going to want the casual audience who's not privy to live feeds to believe Kiefer isn't the one who incepted the idea in the first place. They're going to use this to build up to why Tera deserves to win because she was the one who got out Jed. And that's what I'm worried about here. If Jed does not come back after such a dumb move, now the move is it's compounded to look even worse. At least if he comes back, you could say, oh, well, he came right back. Ooh, it's still a dumbass move. You still let Beth stick around when she should have been sent home. And see, that's another thing, Jed. This move right here could be what wins Beth the game. This extra week you're giving her could win her the game. Because then if they turn on Kiefer right after that, then Jed comes right back into the game. Now Beth can act like she wasn't in on this. But who does Jed align with immediately? The girlfriend who did whatever she could to stay over Jed because she was on the block next to him? Or his homie who wasn't on the block next to him that allowed him to believe this dumb move was cool? Jed gonna come right back and align right back with Beth. Against Ty. Keith's gone already. So now Ty has to rely on Tera and Breydon all over again. And now they got to get Jed out all over again, but this time they don't have Kiefer's mind to help them get rid of Jed the second time. Listen, this is just a bad move, man. It's just a bad move. Now, technically, that timeline I just brought up, I talked myself into a way Jed could win the game again if they get rid of Kiefer and then Jed takes out Kiefer in the battle back. Technically speaking, Jed could come back and then no one can stop him because he just took out Kiefer himself. Now he wins the game because he steamrolls everyone. And even though he did the dumb move, no one could get him out after the dumb move. So now you can say, well, wasn't that dumb move kind of smart in hindsight because it kind of won him? Yeah, in an Edge of Extinction type of way when they rewarded that one guy with the first Edge of Extinction season for winning just because he was the loser who stuck around and didn't quit and came back and made the end. You could argue to an extent this is how Jed would be rewarded, but at least you can argue Jed wasn't evicted for the majority of the game and then at the last second he just had a chance to come back in. This would be him showing up the exact same day. And that brings me back to what I said in the last rant. How does the jury view this? Do they view this as a standard second chance or do they view this as a fake double in which technically because you never reached sequester, you never really got evicted? How do they take this all in? And that's really what makes this so entertaining to me. Because at the end of the day, part of me wants to believe Jed is just pulling our collar. Part of me wants to believe he's just leading us on. He's just playing the game. He's just keeping us entertained. Another part of me believes he is dumb enough and a recruit enough to actually believe what he's doing is okay. And that's the thing. A superfan would never do this. A superfan would know about Marcellus. A superfan would know that this has gone wrong before. Jed believes it's never happened, therefore it can't possibly go wrong because it's never happened. But maybe that's why it will always go wrong, because no one's willing to risk that happening. Ding, ding, ding. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the situation we're in. I don't want to drag this rant out any further. I just wanted to give you all the quick updates. So basically, Tera has played exceptional. Kiefer has played exceptional. Breydon has played exceptional. You know, those three have pretty much forced Ty to get down with their demonstration if he wants to stick around. And because they kept him safe this week, he has no choice but to basically turn against Jed and Beth. I still believe for Ty's game, the optimal play is to prioritize getting Beth out first, then reconvening later. But in Ty's mind, he probably believes he needs Breydon more than he needs Jed now. So maybe he believes if he cuts Jed, somehow wins the next HOH, and then he dictates who goes home next between Beth or Tera, then maybe he believes between Kiefer and Breydon, no matter what, he's taking the final two. Who cares if Jed's gone? But Ty, you got to be careful here, man. You know, Kiefer, you got to be careful here, man. You two specifically. See, Beth, she's going to get away with this because clearly Jed has an affinity for white women. She's not going to be judged on the same level of y'all two brothers. Y'all two men are going to be judged. Y'all are going to be judged differently in Jed's mind. And that's why I would not be surprised if when he comes back, if he don't have to face one of y'all in the battle back, he's going to come back and target both of y'all because he's going to look at both of y'all as the last two obstacles left before he wins. He not scared about sitting at the end with Beth. He not scared about sitting at the end with Breydon. He not scared about sitting at the end even with Tera. I think he's scared of sitting at the end with two people, Kiefer and Ty. And I guess that justifies why they're doing Jed the way they're doing him now, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this 23rd rant entitled Sutton Beth. I tried my best to explain what's going on here without making the rant too long. I know I've been gone all weekend, but I decided to give y'all a surprise rant out of nowhere real quick, like a quick RKO. What are y'all thoughts? You know, that's where I'll end this rant with. Do you think Jed is really going to go through with one of the dumbest moves we've ever seen? Does he really think he could escape the shame from this? Do you think production has told him he will have a second chance to get back in the game, therefore he's willing to do it just to make good TV for them? If so, did they promise him that the comp would be Jed friendly for him to take that deal? Like, why risk the biscuit in the first place unless you have other ducks in a row? You know? Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Jed's unwillingness to save Toya when we all know now that Vic would have backdoored Beth, which would have saved us all the trouble during this entire jury phase? But all of a sudden, he's willing to use the same veto on the block next to Beth, which makes it even worse. He's willing to use the veto on her in this situation, but he wouldn't use it on Toya when he was off the block already. It is the most bizarre stuff I've ever seen, ladies and gentlemen. And there's no way for Jed to explain this away. Okay? Jed, as an advisor, brother, all I can do is advise you. Do not use that veto on Beth. Black women will look at you differently forever if you use that on Beth. They're not only going to look at you as a dumb player who don't deserve to win, they're also going to look at you as someone who clearly does not value black women as highly as white women. That's not what you want to give off, brother. That's not what you want to give off. Because when this season ends, you're going to have the pick of the litter. You're going to be able to choose whatever woman you want. And there's going to be some sisters that you probably going to want to be with more. But they ain't going to be feeling you. It's best for your game. It's best for your reputation. It's best for all parties involved to just take yourself off the damn block, Jed. You've played way too well this long to allow these people to get you in this sucker way. Because here's what I'm worried about as well. If they can get you out once, now if you make the end versus someone like Tera, maybe Tera can beat you because you already got taken out by Tera. I don't want to see a scenario where you give these people an extra reason to believe they can beat you at the end. I don't want to see that. I want them to have to earn it legit. I don't want them earning it by you making it easy for them, if that makes any sense. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts. I'm disappointed. I understand why Ty isn't telling Jed what's going on. I understand why Kiefer wants Jed out. I understand why Beth is doing everything she can to survive this week. But I personally believe the way Beth was willing to just give up as quickly as she did when she was in nowhere near as bad a position as she put Kiefer in a week ago, it just goes to show Kiefer's acumen and his unwillingness to give up in a bad position far exceeds Beth's entitled, privileged perspective on the game. Everything goes her way from week 5 up until now, essentially. And now all of a sudden, week 6 basically, when jury started up until now, essentially. And now all of a sudden, she's got her ducks in a row. She's telling her man, oh, I got this friend who's your soulmate. Now she's threatening to fight Tera but never will. Now she's throwing Ty and Bray under the bus. Now she no longer has Bray as a loyal number. So Beth's game, make no mistake about it, her decision not to keep Tina, I think it played a massive role in why Tera was convinced to throw her up. And at the end of the day, it has played a weird role in why Jed right now is willing to sacrifice himself. And honestly, Jed, this is the worst possible timeline. This is the worst possible look. And I hope you wake yourself up before that ceremony, because your life in this game will be took. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this 23rd rant entitled Sudden Beth. I'm Dave Smith with Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. And I'll see y'all on the flip side. Until next time.